Broadcasting from Park Avenue West, you're watching WMFD Television, Channel 68.1, Mansfield.
This program discusses sensitive mental health issues, including suicide. Viewer discretion is advised.
Maybe an hour after we got the message that we lost Danny, Danny's sister said to us, we were all crying, and she says, "What do we do? What do we tell people?" And I'm like, "Baby, we got to tell them the truth. This is nothing that can be hidden, because otherwise the suicide will win."
We're not mental health professionals. It's just something that happened to our family. We direct people other places. And most important of all, I think, don't quit. Keep fighting. Keep living. Things will get better.
Good evening and welcome to Sparking the Conversation. We are Jeff and Donna Heck, and we are with 33 Forever, and we welcome you to Sparking the Conversation. We are so excited to be able to bring you weekly half-hour messages, stories, and resources surrounding mental health topics and the challenges we face. The show's purpose and hope is to provide both information and inspiration, making conversation about mental health the norm.
Tonight we welcome David Ross to the program. David's the Executive Director of the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Ashland County. He's been with the Ashland County Board since 2004, and he's been Executive Director since April of this year. Previously, he was a counselor and a program manager at the Center, which is now Catalyst Life Services here in Mansfield. David has bachelor's and master's degrees from the University of Akron, and he's an independently licensed clinical counselor. Welcome to Sparking the Conversation, Dave. We're glad to have you here tonight.
Well, I appreciate the invite. I just really appreciate you reaching out and being part of the program tonight.
Well, we're so glad to have you here. And what I really wanted to do is let the audience know, and some of them may, but tell us about the role of a mental health and recovery services board in any county, but specifically in Ashland. Let's talk about that in general, and then we'll get into some of your specifics.
Sure, and you're right. We do a lot of education about what boards do, because it's not something that most folks have a regular contact with. They're much more likely to have interaction with the agencies that we work with rather than the board. But the board actually receives any of the federal, state, or local levy funds that come to a county for the purposes of planning and funding mental health and substance use services. And we do that by a 14 or an 18-member volunteer board. All the board members have to be from the county where the board is at. And these volunteer members, they're representative of the community, and that's where we get so much of our good information. So some of the folks, they themselves are in recovery from mental health or substance use. They might be a parent of a child, either grown or younger, that have struggled with mental health or addiction. They're professionals, so they're a good representation from different aspects of the community, and they're the ones that are making decisions about the county, what kinds of services, which agencies, how are we doing. So it is somewhat of a bureaucratic function, but it's an important one, and right. I think it's real important that they live in the county in which they're serving.
Yeah.
Well, you have three affiliates, per se, that are the primary leaders in the mental health in Ashland. Could you tell us who they are and what they do?
Absolutely. So the Mental Health and Recovery Board in Ashland County contracts with three agencies. I know in Richland County you guys are a little bit bigger, so there's a few more agencies, but in Ashland County we contract with Appleseed Community Mental Health Center. That's our largest contract partner, and I'll talk a little bit about them, but also ACADA. Now, ACADA is an acronym, and after I give you their full name, you'll understand why. It's the Ashland County Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, which is a bit of a mouthful, so we call them ACADA. And then Catholic Charities, and they're out of the Diocese of Cleveland. I believe you have a Catholic Charities here in Richland County, but that's actually a Toledo diocese. So ours is out of the Cleveland diocese. So those are our three contract partners. And if I could, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about each one.
Yeah, please do. I
Absolutely.
think it's important that our audience, because our audience isn't just Richland County, we're a region. This program, I hope, impacts many counties around here, and Ashland's certainly an important part of our community, and we want to be able to share those things with our viewers. So that'd be great.
And it's literally a stone's throw away.
Right.
So the sisterhood or brotherhood, whatever, between our two counties is really effective.
There really is a lot of crossover between the counties. I know there are folks from this county that come to Ashland and vice versa. So Appleseed is our primary flagship agency in that they have the most services there. So our 24/7 crisis services, our psychiatric services, case management services, and they are for the 24/7 services, they're really the go-to agency. We were talking earlier about our 24/7 crisis line, and they're the ones that man that for us, and that's obviously a very important service. In terms of ACADA, they have been a longstanding drug alcohol agency in Ashland County. They're very well known to the courts and to school-based prevention because they've been doing that for many, many years. One of the things I like to talk about with ACADA is medication-assisted treatment. A lot of people, I know you've talked about it on the program before, but medication-assisted treatment really came into being when the opioid epidemic hit back in the mid-2000s and progressively got worse. Believe it or not, ACADA was one of the very first medication-assisted treatment programs in the state of Ohio. So
Really?
the director at the time, he was very, very sensitive to the increases that they were seeing with the opioids and did all the research and really came across the research on medication-assisted treatment being much better than treatment as usual for opioids, which was virtually nothing. Before medication-assisted treatment, the outcomes for folks that were struggling with opioids were really, really low. So they also, ACADA, they also are a gatekeeper for somebody that might need residential or withdrawal management. That's the new term for detox. The folks at the state and federal, they like to change the names of things just to keep us on our toes.
It does sound good.
Yes, withdrawal management rather than
Yes.
detox. And believe it or not, most of the time when somebody in Ashland County needs residential or withdrawal management, they're going to come over to Richland County because you have wonderful facilities here on Shoal Road. So we use those quite a bit because Ashland County really doesn't have the capacity to have those facilities in their own county. And then last but not least is Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities, even though a relatively small agency, they're actually part of the diocese, which is very large actually.
Absolutely.
But some of the things I like to promote about Catholic Charities is they have a peer program. We know how important it is for folks that are in recovery giving back and being around other folks, developing their ability to be a peer, to be a leader. In addition to the peer services, they have 3 professionals over there that are just wonderful when it comes to early childhood and parent education. And we've seen with a lot of the substance use where maybe parents are losing custody of their children, they end up being raised by grandchildren or other family that maybe haven't raised kids.
Yep.
And Catholic Charities has been able to come alongside those grandparents and parents to give them skills because, you know, if you haven't had a child through the school system in 20 or 30 years, it's a learning curve. So they do a lot of that at Catholic Charities, and I think that's vital.
Yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate that brief introduction, I know, to your agencies. We're going to take a little break.
Sure.
We're going to come back after these messages here on Sparking the Conversation.
We are more than a counseling center.
More than just a medication or therapy session.
What do I like the most? It's gotta be the team.
Providing the highest standard of care, that's just what we do.
And equipping patients with coping skills to be successful. That's so important.
It's simple. We are just hopeful. We are hopeful for our patients.
We are hopeful that we can help them find their way to a better balanced and more resilient self.
We are Hope 419.
Visit us today at hope419.com.
All right, Sunday's way better. Oh, no, you can't have this. I'm sorry.
Enjoy an order of large fries for free with a purchase of $1 or more, only on the app.
If he only knew
how much we would miss him
and how many lives she impacted just by being here.
I wish I had understood that the behaviors I was witnessing actually were warning signs.
I wish he had known there were other options.
The hard work you put in now will pay off.
You don't really know what you're going to be in the future. You could be the next doctor, the next psychiatrist that helps those children understand their mental health issues.
Attention Zantac users. The FDA requested manufacturers to pull Zantac and products containing ranitidine off the market, noting exposure to unacceptable levels of a cancer-causing agent. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with cancer after regular use of Zantac or ranitidine products, you might be entitled to financial compensation. If you have colon, kidney, or any of these cancers, time is critical. Call now for a free consultation. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800-555-1212.
This is Sheila D.
And this is Mike Tyler.
Join us every Saturday night from 6 until midnight for the Saturday Night Flashback.
On Mix 106.1.
Mix 106.1.
This program discusses sensitive mental health issues, including suicide. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Sparking the Conversation. We are here today with Dave from the Ashland County Mental Health Recovery Service Board. Dave, one thing that I'm very interested in hearing about, especially because we lost Danny to suicide, is what in Ashland County, what are your suicide-specific services that you offer for people?
No, that's a critical question. And when we think about approaching the question of suicide, there's one way to think about it is in terms of prevention, treatment, and postvention. So prevention, most people are familiar with, and in Ashland County, we use primarily an approach called QPR, which stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. And this is an evidence-based prevention program that is being used around the world, and we've been using for about 14 years in Ashland County. And it's just like CPR in the sense that you don't have to be a trained counselor or social worker to learn this and utilize it. It's really all about recognizing the warning signs, listening for things, hearing things, because without the training, you won't necessarily know, wow, that I should have paid more attention when I saw that or when I heard that. But after the training, we have all these gatekeepers now in the county, and we go all the way down to the middle school level because the statistics tell us that for 16 to 34-year-olds, it's the second leading cause of death in Ohio, and that's significant. So I would say from a prevention approach, QPR, we do that in our, again, middle, high schools, anybody in the community for free, no cost, they can get the QPR training. We will train any size group. So we train hundreds of folks at a time to small groups of 3 or 4 at a business.
How long is the program?
I can do it in an hour.
Really?
I'm racing. I prefer about an hour and a half because we can do some role plays, but yes, it can be done over like a lunch and learn. We can do it in as short as an hour if folks are interested.
That's an incredible service.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, I think it's critical with the numbers that we see and the increasing numbers that we see with kids, and I know it's the leading cause of death for younger children. Yeah. And then, as you said, for our preteens up to our young adults in mid-30s, it's such a it's really at that crisis stage of the numbers are just really troubling. So, and that's run through directly through the board, and then you have some services through Appleseed as well, right?
Yep. So we trained up. It's one of those services that board staff like myself, and again, I'm trained as a counselor, so I am able to do that. It's not really considered a billable service, so it's something that boards are allowed to do. But we also have trained trainers at our agencies, actually all 3. So they all 3 help us with that. We like to do the trainings in pairs. And I'll tell you, you might appreciate this, but the reason we do it in pairs is when you get a group of 25 or more, odds are that somebody in that audience might get triggered by the training. Just going through the training, they might remember a situation, and so it's always good to have an extra pair of eyes so they can go out with the person maybe in the hallway to make sure they're okay. As you all know, those of us that are left behind after suicide are at higher risk ourselves. So it's always important. Somebody thinks they're ready for a training like this, but then they realize, wow, I'm really having some struggles with this.
Right. The fragility of just PTSD, everything is tough. But I still think that is such an important piece of the puzzle for prevention.
Yeah. We've seen that ourselves, though. When we go out in the community and we talk to people, first of all, we give people a warning up front that it may bring up something. And then secondly, we almost every single time we talk to people, we have circumstances like that in one way, shape, or form. And it's very impactful to us, and I think it's impactful to the group too. But again, it shows the prevalence of what we're dealing with suicide and suicide prevention. So speaking of resources, let's talk about some of the local things that you guys can offer for the Ashland Board does offer, or your agencies offer, as far as online resources, telephone resources. Let's talk about some of that, can we?
Absolutely.
I think they're going to show some of that. We're going to show some of that on the bottom of the screen as you talk.
That'd be great. So 24/7 services are important to us because you never know when a crisis is going to happen. So I try to emphasize some of these as all 24/7 services. First of which is our 24/7 crisis line. So one of the things that we insist on is that you get a human being when you call that number, and we have that. So we do contract with Appleseed. So when somebody calls in and they're in distress or they're worried about a loved one, they're going to get somebody who knows Ashland County, knows the resources even in the region, even if it's just information and referral, they can give them that. But it could be more than that. It could be helping them get to the hospital for an assessment or somewhere else for an assessment. We did do a Healthy Ashland app for Apple and Android devices because, again, a lot of people like to use their devices. So they're able to download the Healthy Ashland app and get the same kinds of resources as well as relaxation, stress management resources. So not just the crisis things, but things that you can keep yourself well.
So that app is, if you just search on the
Play Store or
App Store,
Yep.
yeah, you just look for Healthy Ashland and you'll find the app.
Absolutely.
And it will give, your website's incredible. I've told you that several times.
Thank you.
And going on that that app, you'll find everything from your Alcohol Anonymous meetings, your suicide. You have actually the suicide.
Our grievers group, yes.
Yes, that which is incredible.
Yeah.
And a lot of people need to know that. So we really recommend you guys going to look at that, download that app. We are going to actually have to take another break, and when we get back, we're anxious to hear a little bit more. We'll be right back with Sparking the Conversation on WMFD.
Hi, I'm Joe Trollian, the Executive Director for the Richland County Mental Health and Recovery Services Board. Addiction to drugs and alcohol create a personal struggle as well as impact those around you. You are not alone. We have many professionals and organizations who care. Reach out for help today. Know it before you need it. Visit know it, the letter B, the number 4, the letter U, needit.com.
Brought to you by the Richland County Mental Health and Recovery Services Board, growing and preserving a legacy of hope and success within our community.
If you've been injured, whether personal injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you are not alone.
And you definitely don't have to fight alone. While you focus on recovery, let the HEC law offices focus on your case.
With over 45 years of combined legal experience, we understand your situation and the entire overwhelming legal process.
With an injury, you're already handling too much. Let our team be your advocate.
I'm Jeff Heck.
And I'm Jeff Stifler.
We're Mansfield's Injury Lawyers. Call us today or visit us at hecklawoffices.com.
Bam! My accident? My accident happened in a second.
My settlement? That's taking a really long time.
If you've been injured in an accident and need money now while your case settles, call Oasis today.
Better days start today. Get the cash you need with Oasis.
There's no risk. If you lose your case, you don't have to pay Oasis back, ever. Applying for Oasis Express Cash is easy and takes 3 minutes. We'll work with your attorney, and if you're approved, get you $500,000 to $100,000 in as little as 24 hours. Use it for bills, rent, whatever you need help with. So call now or go online to apply. Remember, there's no risk to you.
Better days.
Better days.
Better days start today.
Oasis Financial, because life moves faster than your case.
Call now. Once approved, get your money in as little as 24 hours. 1-800-741-8206.
Welcome back to Sparking the Conversation. We're here with David Ross from the Ashland County Mental Health and Recovery Board. And David, you've been telling us about what the board does and some of your affiliate agencies. And I know there are some exciting things that are maybe more recent that really give your Ashland County community a lot of hope for things that are going on. So maybe share those with our audience, would you?
Yeah, thank you for that. We are really excited about our new juvenile court judge. Karen DeSanto Kellogg has come in, and she is bound and determined to set up a trauma-informed court. And a lot of folks don't know what that is. Maybe that's a new term for some of your listeners. So a trauma-informed court basically just has a judge that has been trained up to recognize that most of the folks that are in her court have come from hard places. They've seen violence. They've experienced trauma themselves. And because of that, the courtroom environment in and of itself can be re-traumatizing, can be very, very difficult for folks that have gone through that and have that history. So, a trauma-informed court tries to take that into account and then change the way it operates. And people ask what that looks like and sounds like. Well, the communication, for example, maybe somebody has a positive screen. So instead of saying to the person, your screen was dirty, if you say that to somebody with a trauma history, they're thinking, I'm dirty, I'm a bad person, I don't matter. So that, if the judge were to say something like, well, your screen came back positive for drugs or substances, much softer way, much more trauma-informed way to say it. Sometimes it's the procedures. You're an attorney, right? So a sidebar. Well, a sidebar conversation not explained to somebody with a trauma history, they might feel afraid, what's happening, suspicious,
that
they don't trust.
Right.
So if the judge were to explain it, hey, we're going to talk about some aspects of your case for a few minutes, and then we'll get back. Just explaining that in advance can go a long way. So procedures, so the court procedures can be different. And then finally, the environment in the court. Oftentimes you'll see judges are up high on benches, separate from the individual. So in a trauma-informed court, it's not unusual for the judge actually to come down and sit at a table at the same level as the individual. So these are the kinds of things that DeSanto Kellogg, working with fostering family ministries, which has really been helpful, I think, in spreading the word about a trauma-informed court, as well as a very important judge in Tyler, Texas, that we're hoping to bring up to Ashland County that really got this started. If folks were to Google All Rise for Children, you'll hear all about this judge in Tyler, Texas. She is a force in and of herself to spread the word on this. But the outcomes are better, right? So if we know the folks are coming from these hard places and we try to accommodate that, the outcomes, the success, the reunifications, all are better. And we know our judge in Ashland County wants that. We all want that.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you did tell me earlier that the opioid crisis is truly big in huge in Ashland versus like suicides, for example.
Absolutely. We really have seen a lot of displacement with young people being separated because of the use of substances by the parents. And then the court's in the position where they are placing them with grandparents, kinship care, sometimes in foster care, and it's been very difficult to manage all that and to get supports around those foster families or kinship families.
How unusual is that kind of a court? Because that's, I'm an attorney, I don't practice in that court necessarily, but those are concepts that are pretty new, I think, in the judicial system, maybe here in Ohio, I don't know, regionally.
They are still new. They are growing, but they're still relatively new. I think most folks maybe have heard of like a drug court or a mental health court. There's even things called veterans court, these kind of specialty dockets. But a trauma-informed court can actually be embedded in any of those other courts because it's more attitudinal, right? It's about how to talk, how to set an environment, how to explain things in such a way. So really, it's kind of an overarching principle. So I am hopeful, Jeff, that we see more and more of trauma-informed practices in all of our courts, not just our juvenile courts.
I think that's a good wave of the future. And the other thing I think you had told us before too, Dave, as we were getting ready for this, was that you are seeing a very high number of kids who are coming into the system with these sorts of problems based on decisions and problems that their parents have, and that your numbers are actually very high. But this is, I think, a very hopeful thing.
I agree. It is. It's going to be a positive outcome for them in the end versus how traumatic, adding to it.
Absolutely.
Dave, we could keep talking, and we want to. We're going to have you back maybe in March because I know Ashland's got some exciting things coming up.
We do.
And we appreciate your time, everything you've done to help inform our audience about what's going on in Ashland County and how you're making such a big difference.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the work that you're doing. It really does matter to people out there.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your nice words. We are going to come back in a couple of minutes with our memory moment, so stick around and we will see you after these messages.
Catalyst Life Services, a comprehensive behavioral health organization, has been serving the community for 70 years. Our wide array of wraparound services and our ability to treat the whole person is what sets us apart. It's everything you need in one place: mental health, crisis, detox and addiction services, case management, and peer recovery support. We even offer vocational programming to get you back to work. Catalyst Life Services. Call today and get the help you need.
Are you looking for a place with experience and expectation? First Congregational Church has a long North Central Ohio history and a strong commitment to a vibrant future. Are you looking for a place of prayer and possibility? We lean on God and rely on each other for support and encouragement. Are you looking for a place with exceptional music and an uplifting message? Join us every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. on WMFD. Check out our website. We're saving a place for you.
If you don't have final expense insurance, this message is for you. Life Care provides valuable whole life insurance to help cover final expenses, medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance, available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call 800-372-5842.
Welcome back to Sparking the Conversation's Memory Moment. Now, this is the week before, well, the Monday before Thanksgiving, if you're watching this live. And Thanksgiving is a very special holiday. We're thankful for so many things. And one of the things that I know you remember that we are probably very thankful for is Danielle.
And it was, well, and what we're going to show you tonight is a memory, a really good memory of actually our last Thanksgiving together. And it speaks for itself, but it really captures the whole Danny vibe and Danny spirit. And we do need to make a little apology.
Yes, that there might be a PG-13 as you're going through, but
one word.
She's adorable, and wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, family. Just want everybody to know, I've been in Ohio for 2 days now, and I just spent Thanksgiving with our parents, and it was just me. And I gotta tell you, it's really hard for me to grasp that since I missed out on so many holidays, and I got a lot of shit for it. And, y'all are nowhere to be found. And I'm just here with dogs, hanging out. Our parents, with 17,000 family members, would have been all alone on Thanksgiving if I wasn't here. So, I have gone from the estranged Danielle to numero uno.
So that's really Danny in a nutshell. Yep. And we're glad you could join us tonight. Thanks for watching Sparking the Conversation. We'll be back next week. Have a great Thanksgiving holiday, and we will see you next Monday.